Good morning. During the 10 years between 2008 and 2018 makes it a decade. And I'm finding the directors who made plays at the Old Town Playhouse in Traverse City, Michigan, and giving them a memory in a video for their family members, children, and especially to them, so they can look back standing on their theater stage. Good afternoon. There once was a time that the very thought of seeing a black man with his arms around a white woman was absolutely unthinkable. Today, it's still unthinkable because most fair-minded people don't give it a second thought. Screenwriters in 2005, romantic film Brokeback Mountain kicked open a door with Beane following right behind with The Little Dog Laughed in 2006. As Dylan sang, "The times they are changing."
Down to the agent wanting to keep the movie star in the closet so he doesn't ruin his career by doing this. So she's continuously trying to not let this get out. And this male prostitute that comes along, Alex, played by, amazingly well by Derek Woodruff, they form a connection and kind of a bond, and they really want to pursue this. And it just puts Diane on edge, and she doesn't want this to happen. So, and then Alex is complicated by his live-in sometimes girlfriend, Ellen, played by Allison Lee. And they kind of start having a relationship, and then he gets involved with Mitchell, and it's a whole big kind of odd love triangle that happens within the show.
So who's your agent?
Leslie Tye, she plays Diane.
Play Diane. And Diane is very ambitious and very motivated agent, and she and Mitchell have been together for a long time.
7 years.
7 years, and they have been really working to make him like the next huge star. He's getting some awards, he's getting some good roles, but he's not quite. He doesn't have any franchises. He doesn't have any parts where he's playing Batman or something like that. He doesn't have that yet, and so she's really working hard. She really is banking on him as being her like Tom Cruise, right? Her big star. So that's why she's so driven to make sure that she doesn't care.
So she protects him.
She's trying to protect him and like make sure that he gets go where he wants to be, and she doesn't care necessarily whether he has gets a rent boy, but she wants him to keep it quiet.
Her in case of homosexuality informs me that as his date, are you possibly seated for this? As his date to this award ceremony, he would like to bring his mother, so that no one will know that he's gay.
I'm Tyson. I'm Blake Mitchell.
Right.
And we come to New York from LA, because that's what actor types do.
You're getting an award.
Yeah.
Your character gets an award.
Come to get an award, come to buy a play, and she has been all about trying to find these ways to get him out there, to make sure that the good people want him in their movies, that the people lust after him, that there is the love from the American public. And she's, as she said before, very concerned that that's not going to happen if he is an outed homosexual. Mm-hmm. And so, he knows that that's probably the best thing for him as well, if he decides that he wants to continue with this whole life of fame and fortune. So he tries to keep it on the back burner as best he can, but I think love has a way of getting away from you. And every now and then you make a connection that you don't really anticipate, and that's kind of what you get to see in the show, is you get to see this connection between two people that aren't 100% certain how they feel about it. Someone who wants to stay in the closet because he doesn't want people to know he's gay, and a character that might not necessarily be too concerned in the gigolo. He's not too concerned about necessarily what someone's going to think of him personally, but he has his own life that he needs to be worried about and getting too attached, especially to a client.
Scotch and loneliness and independence, and do you see where I'm going with this?
Oh.
So if you could just...
Oh. I see.
You can take something from the cart if you're hungry.
No. Actually, I'm not hungry at all.
What brought you to direct the show?
I'd actually seen it, 5 years ago now or so. It was done by the Performance Network down in Ann Arbor. And I had heard a little bit about it. I'm a big enough of a theater nerd that I almost always watch the Tonys. And the gal that played Diane won a Tony Award that year. And I just remember hearing about the show, and then I saw little clips, especially of Diane's stuff, and I just fell in love with it. So when I got an opportunity to go see it with my old college roommate, we went down, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. I wasn't sure what this show was about.
At what stage in the process did you feel that way? Right from the very beginning?
Right from the beginning. Oh yeah, it was one of those. I'd seen snippets here and there, but never really had the full picture. Didn't know too much about the story. Knew enough to know that I liked it because Douglas Carter Beane also wrote a movie that I love, which is Too Long Fu Things for Everything Julie Newmar. So I was like, okay, I already like his writing, so let's see what his play is like. And so I sat in the theater and I watched this show, and curtain call came, I stood, I clapped, I cheered, I was crying, I was laughing, I didn't know what to make of myself. And then I sat back down and I stayed there for 10 minutes until the ushers kicked me out because I had to process. And it was this huge process for me to sit there and walk after the show and just try to come to terms with what I'd seen and what I'd experienced as an audience member. And I just knew that if this show ever became available at the Playhouse, that I'd want to put in to direct it because I just loved it so much.
Do you want to be my uncle or not?
Is there paperwork?
No.
Then I'll be your uncle.
Because if you don't want a scene, then
I have no idea what is going on here. Playing a gay character and playing a gay character in a situation like this where it's very out there. It's very showing it to the audience. This is not something I say I'm gay. This is something that I show that I'm gay. So it actually is my first time doing anything like that.
Right.
And they asked me when I was reading, like, are you comfortable being in a homosexual relationship on stage? And I'm like, yeah. And I read it, I'm like, wow, this is really intense, but this is going to be really good.
This is going to be very interesting to see how the audiences are going to embrace this play. Because especially with these being real relationships, just not the silly stuff that they show in a lot of sitcoms and whatnot. But this could be very kind of for some people.
It could switch to people.
Yeah.
It could.
But you know what? That's a good thing for them. That's good. That's good for them to be a little uncomfortable and
Sometimes
stuff.
that's what theater needs to
That's
do.
what theater's about.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't through the rehearsal process. My goal was never to try and be a people pleaser with the show. I'm well aware there's plenty of people that come to the Old Town Playhouse and love everything we do, and I'm well aware some of those people could come to this and hate it.
This is one of those shows that I don't know who's originally said this quote, but it's a type of show that's supposed to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
Something for no money, something for little or no visibility. And now all of Hollywood wants his meaning, his play.
Of course, it's about two men in love. They're going to want to change that.
Rewrite it.
Congratulations!
Good for you. No, it's been a very pleasant experience. There were, I'm glad we got it. She did a good job of easing us into it. You know, first time you do everything with your clothes on, and then you hang out with your clothes off. So she did a good job of easing us into it.
There we go.
Yeah. And Freudian. And
Get that out of that bottom of your mouth.
and she did a really job.
I'll edit that out.
Yeah, exactly. And no, she did a great job of kind of working us into it, and she was very aware of people's comfort levels, and I think that was really critical and something to be applauded, because that's not easy to do.
Your actors,
Mhm.
their comfort level.
Yes. And actually, usually they were more comfortable with things than I was. Like, there were moments where it's like, you don't, it's fine. If you guys don't want to do the kiss right now, it's fine. We're just blocking it. You don't need, and they were both like, oh, screw it. I was like, okay, well.
We got this. It's okay. It's gonna happen at some point. Let's go.
I'm fine with that, I suppose. And so it was always, because I was trying to tread very carefully, so I wasn't overstepping bounds, trying to let them establish relationships. Because Tyson and Derek had never met before this show. So it was like, there are two strangers, and then it's like, I want you to make out.
Is this a receipt?
no. My number. My cell. You shouldn't be calling up Red Boys when you're not sober. You could get fucking old, dude.
What would you like to see the audiences that come to see this play walk away thinking about?
I want them to walk away and think about what it means to be in love and what they're willing to have and to not have for that love and for that standard of beauty. What is that to them? And I hope they laugh, they leave chuckling about funny moments, and I hope they leave deeply thinking about those serious, poignant moments. And I hope they just have a lot of fun, because it's a fun show.
Now, when you were both cast for the show at the auditions, did you ever think that you were going to be in bed with your director?
No, that never occurred in my mind.
I knew for sure it was going to happen at some point.
Well,
Apparently I didn't know them well enough.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see the show. It's opening when?
we open this Friday, February 1st, curtains at 7:30.
And goes until when?
We go until February 16th.
Fantastic. Thank you, Estey. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Mitchell. You are so in character. I just know you by Mitchell.
Sorry, I don't have remember my real name.
Oh,
Tyson.
Tyson.
Good morning. On February 7th, 2014, I had an interview with David Dennison and Kate Bodie, and they were playing in Beane's of Fear. They were wonderfully working together at the Studio Theater at the Depot, and I hope you enjoy it, just as I did.
Yeah. Well, there of course there are two Vandas in the show. There is Vanda Jordan, and then there's Vanda Junayev, who is the play within the play character. And I'll focus mainly on Vanda Jordan because I think Vanda Junayev is a much more obvious character. If you come to see the play, there's not going to be a lot that's unclear. Vanda Jordan is an enigma. She walks in when Thomas has just had it. He's had an awful day of auditioning people, and he cannot find anyone who he thinks is good enough to play this wonderful role that he has written. And so in walks Vanda Jordan, who is pretty much every horrible thing he's had to deal with all day.
Vanda is 24, for God's sake. In those days, a woman at 24 would have been married. She'd have 5 kids and tuberculosis. She'd be a woman. Women who are 24 these days sound like 6-year-olds on helium. And I was like, whatever. And he's like, and I'm like, whatever.
Too late? Too late, right?
Fuck. I figured for Venus and for everybody went home half an hour ago.
God, I am sorry. I am so sorry. I got caught like way uptown, and then my cell went out. And then my shoe got stuck in one of those sewer cover thing, whatever. Then there's this guy in the shade. I'm not gonna tell you about him. Rubbing up against my ass the whole trip.
And he's rolling his eyes and he can't handle it, and he really wants to just go home, but she sort of talks her way into the audition.
Vanda
Jordan. People always say, is that real? Vanda Jordan?
I don't see your name.
Well, down there, the agent had to set it up and everything. 215. Shit.
And she starts to read, and she is, I'll say, mysteriously good.
I certainly respect your devotion to principle.
I don't need your respect, excuse me. I should love a man who pleases me, and please a man who makes me happy. But only as long as he makes me happy, not a moment longer.
To a man, there's nothing crueler than a woman's infidelity.
To a woman there is, the enforced fidelity of men. Can I move around?
Yes, please, move.
Physically, you're not unattractive, but when a man submits to me, I see a trick.
This is no trick. Only love me.
You see, orders already.
Marry me.
I'm a frivolous woman, Herr Bushevsky. You'd have to be very brave to love me. I've told you my principles and how I live.
I only know that I want you to be my wife.
You don't really know a thing about me.
Dominate me.
It's absurd.
In time, you'd only try to wrest power from me, as every lover does. Why waste time in the struggle? I hand all power over to you in advance, now and forever, unconditionally. Dominate me. Do with me what you will. Beat me if you like.
Well, this is certainly novel.
At reading the part, and at playing this character. And so he doesn't know what to make of her, and that really doesn't change, I think, throughout the show. Do you think that's accurate?
I think that's fairly accurate, yes.
On the day that I find that woman, I shall marry her.
Thomas, that speech is brilliant.
Thanks. I spent enough time on it.
So actually, this play is all about child abuse.
What? No, this play is not about child abuse. Jesus Christ! This idiotic urge to reduce everything to some trivial social issue.
Child abuse isn't exactly trivial.
Okay, it's not trivial, but you're being trite. Let's not be trite, all right? This is not anthropology. It's not sociology. This is a play.
So who is this guy?
So Dave plays Thomas Novacek, who is the playwright. Well, he's the adapter
He's the adapter.
of a novel that he happened to like a little bit too much, possibly. And he's also the director, so he is the one who is auditioning Vanda. And I think when Thomas subconsciously chose this book to adapt into stage, he was delving into his own inner demons or angels or whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
A little bit too much, but he has not fully even realized that himself.
like a lot of people today, he's pretty much face value, and Vonda starts to bring a little bit more of that out of him, and see if he connects a little bit more with the show as the show goes on.
Look, I thought the relationship was fascinating. Very rich, very complex. I thought the story was dramatic, naturally theatrical.
He thinks the lady dove protests too much.
Mostly, I like the size of these people's emotions. I mean, nobody has emotions that size, outsized emotions, operatic emotions. Vonda and Krzyzewski are like Tristan and Isolde.
Is that pretty accurate?
I think that's pretty accurate. I don't want to give too much away, because you could talk more about these characters, but it
Right.
really would give away, I think, things that are surprising and interesting in the show. What I found interesting about Thomas, and we talked about this at one of our first rehearsals, when I first read the script, I read him as just kind of a normal guy. And then I read the script again, and I read it again. And I realized Thomas is really kind of a dick. And he's really kind of a misogynist. But he's a misogynist, and he doesn't pinch butts, and he doesn't call people toots. He would never think that of himself, and would probably be really upset to be described as that.
I'm Venus now. Imagine me totally naked.
But I think he exhibits a very believable misogyny that I think is present in a lot of men, and while I hope not me, it did sort of make me go,
Misogyny that is acceptable in society today.
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think old Krzyzewski's hot for the count, is what I think.
How can you be so stupid? Really? How can you be so good at playing her and be so fucking stupid about her and about everything in this play, you fucking idiot? Yes. Idiot woman. Idiot actress.
Was there one specific hurdle that both of you had to overcome together in order for the chemistry to all work? Or was that from the very beginning?
I think we both felt that we enjoyed reading with each other from very early on. I mean, even
So
in
it was
the
just a
audition.
process that just developed
It was.
more and more
I
and
really
more.
believe, we were there on the same page in the very beginning, and we grew together and worked at an equal pace. I mean, I was very pleased to work with Dave, and
It would be the death of this play if it didn't have chemistry.
exactly.
Yeah, and I think we both
Right.
recognized that, and I think we were
Immediately.
both, I know I was very, very grateful to be working with
Yes,
an actor like
me
that.
too.
Well, the moment that I saw both of you together on stage, I knew everything was going to be well.
Well, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
It
That's good
showed.
to know.
Anyway, thank you very much. I'll be looking forward to seeing opening night.
Very
Thank you.
And
good.
I hope
Yes.
that you have a great, successful run.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.